What's up, guys? Welcome to March 25th as we dive into Joshua chapter 10, verse 1. Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had captured and completely destroyed Ai and killed its king, just as he had destroyed the town of Jericho and killed its king. He also learned that the Gibeonites had made peace with Israel and were now their allies. He and his people became very afraid when they heard all this, because Gibeon was a large town, as large as the royal cities, and larger than Ai, and the Gibeonite men were strong warriors. So King Adonizedek of Jerusalem sent messengers to several other kings, Hoham and Hebron, Piram of Jarmuth, Japhia of Lachish, and Deborah of Eglon. Come and help me destroy Gibeon, he urged them, for they have made peace with Joshua and the people of Israel. So these 5 Amorite kings combined their armies for a united attack. They moved all their troops into place and attacked Gibeon. The men of Gibeon quickly sent messengers to Joshua at his camp in Gilgal. Don't abandon your servants now, they pleaded. Come at once, save us, help us, for all the Amorite kings who live in the hill country have joined forces to attack us. So Joshua and his entire army, including his best warriors, left Gilgal and set out for Gibeon. Do not be afraid of them, the Lord said to Joshua, for I have given you victory over them. Not a single one of them will be able to stand up to you. Joshua traveled all night from Gilgal and took the Amorite armies by surprise. The Lord threw them into a panic, and the Israelites slaughtered them. They slaughtered great numbers of them at Gibeon. Then the Israelites chased the enemy along the road of Beth-horon, killing them all along the way to Azekah and Makkedah. As the Amorites retreated down the road from Beth-horon, the Lord destroyed them with a terrible hailstorm from heaven that continued until they reached Azekah. The hail killed more of the enemy than the Israelites killed with the sword. On the day the Lord gave the Israelites victory over the Amorites, Joshua prayed to the Lord in front of all the people of Israel. He said, "Let the sun stand still over Gibeon and the moon over the valley of Aijalon." So the moon stood still, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed in place until the nation of Israel had defeated its enemies. Is this even not recorded in the book of Joshua? The sun stayed in the middle of the sky, and it did not set as a normal day. There has never been a day like this one before or since, when the Lord answered such a prayer. Surely the Lord fought for Israel that day. Then Joshua and the Israelite army returned to their camp at Gilgal. During the battle, the 5 kings escaped and hid in a cave at Makkedah. When Joshua heard that they had been found, he issued this command: cover the opening of the cave with large rocks and place guards at the entrance to keep the kings inside. The rest of you continue chasing the enemy and cut them down from the rear. Don't give them a chance to get back to their towns, for the Lord your God has given you victory over them. So Joshua and the Israelite army continued the slaughter and completely crushed the enemy. They totally wiped out the 5 armies, except for a tiny remnant that managed to reach their fortified towns. Then the Israelites returned safely to Joshua in the camp of Makkedah. After that, no one dared to speak even a word against Israel. Then Joshua said, "Remove the rocks covering the opening of the cave, and bring the 5 kings to me." So they brought the 5 kings out of the cave. The kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they brought them out, Joshua told the commanders of his army, "Come and put your feet on the king's neck," and they did as they were told. Don't be afraid or discouraged, Joshua told his men. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord is going to do this to all of your enemies. Then Joshua killed each of the 5 kings and impaled them on 5 sharpened poles, where they hung until evening. As the sun was going down, Joshua gave instructions for the bodies of the kings to be taken down from the poles and thrown into the cave where they had been hiding. Then they covered the opening of the cave with a large pile of rocks, which remain to this very day. That same day, Joshua captured and destroyed the town of Makkedah. He killed everyone in it, including the king, leaving no survivors. He destroyed them all, and he killed the king of Makkedah, as he had killed the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and the Israelites went to Libnah and attacked it. There too the Lord gave them the town and its king. He killed everyone in it, leaving no survivors. Then Joshua killed the king of Libnah as he had killed the king of Jericho. From Libnah, Joshua and the Israelites went to Lachish and attacked it. Here again the Lord gave them Lachish. Joshua took it on the 2nd day and killed everyone in it, just as he had done at Libnah. During the attack on Lachish, King Hiram of Gazer arrived with his army to help defend the town, but Joshua's men killed him and his army, leaving no survivors. Then Joshua and the Israelite army went on to Eglon and attacked it. They captured it that day and killed everyone in it. He completely destroyed everyone, just as he had done at Lachish. From Eglon, Joshua and the Israelites army went up to Hebron and attacked it. They captured the town and killed everyone in it, including its king, leaving no survivors. They did the same thing to all of its surrounding villages, and just as he had done at Eglon, he completely destroyed the entire population. Then Joshua and the Israelites turned back and attacked Debir. He captured the town, its kings, and all its surrounding villages. He completely destroyed everything in it, leaving no survivors. He did to Debir and its kings just what he had done to Hebron and to Libnah and its king. So Joshua conquered the whole region, the kings and people of the hill country, the Negev, the western foothills, and the mountain slopes. He completely destroyed everyone in the land, leaving no survivors, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Joshua slaughtered them from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza, and from the region around the town of Goshen up to Gibeon. Joshua conquered all these kings and their land in a single campaign, for the Lord, the God of Israel, was fighting for his people. Then Joshua and the Israelite army returned to their camp at Gilgal. Chapter 11. When King Jabin of Hazor heard what had happened, he sent messengers to the following kings: King Jobab of Madon, the king of Shemron, the king of Akshaph, all the kings of the northern hill country, the kings of the Jordan Valley south of Galilee, the kings in the Galilean foothills, the kings of Naphthoth Dor on the west, and the kings of Canaan, both east and west, the kings of the Amorites, the Hivites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites in the hill country, and the Hivites in the towns on the slopes of Mount Hermon in the land of Mizpah. All these kings came out to fight. Their combined army formed a vast horde, and with all their horses and chariots, they covered the landscape like the sand on the seashore. The kings joined forces and established their camp around the water near Moron to fight against Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them. By this time tomorrow I will hand all of them over to Israel as dead men. Then you must cripple their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and all his fighting men traveled to the water near Merom and attacked suddenly, and the Lord gave them victory over their enemies. The Israelites chased them as far as Greater Sidon and Mizraphath Maim and eastward into the valley of Mizpah until now one enemy warrior was left alive. Then Joshua crippled the horses and burned all the chariots, as the Lord had instructed. Joshua then turned back and conquered Hazor and killed its king. Hazor had at one time been the capital of all these kingdoms. The Israelites completely destroyed every living thing in the city, leaving no survivors. Not a single person was spared. And then Joshua burned the city. Joshua slaughtered all the other kings and their people, completely destroying them, just as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. But the Israelites did not burn any of the towns built on mounds except Hazor, which Joshua burned. And the Israelites took all the plunder and livestock of the ravaged towns for themselves, but they killed all the people, leaving no survivors, as the Lord had commanded his servant Moses. So Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did as he was told, carefully obeying all the commands that the Lord had given to Moses. So Joshua conquered the entire region, the hill country, the entire Negev, the whole area around the town of Goshen, the western foothills, the Jordan Valley, the mountains of Israel, and the Galilean foothills. The Israelite territory now expanded all the way from Mount Halak, which leads up to Seir in the south, as far north as Baal-Gad at the foot of Mount Hermon in the valley of Lebanon. Joshua killed all the kings of those territories, waging war for a long time to accomplish this. No one in this region made peace with the Israelites except the Hivites of Gibeon. All the others were defeated, for the Lord hardened their hearts and caused them to fight the Israelites, so they were completely destroyed without mercy, as the Lord had commanded Moses. During this period, Joshua destroyed all the descendants of Anak who lived in the hill country of Hebron, Debir, Anab, and the entire hill country of Judah and Israel. He killed them all and completely destroyed their towns. None of the descendants of Anak were left in the land of Israel, though some still remained in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod. So Joshua took control of the entire land just as the Lord had instructed Moses. He gave it to the people of Israel as their special possession, dividing the land among the tribes. So the land finally had rest from war. Chapter 12. These are the kings set east of the Jordan River who had been killed by the Israelites and whose land was given. Their territory expanded from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon and included all the land east of the Jordan Valley. King Sihon of the Amorites, who lived in Heshbon, was defeated. His kingdom, including Aroer on the edge of the Arnon Gorge, and extended from the middle of the Arnon Gorge to the Jabbok River, which serves as the border for the Ammonites. This territory included all the southern half of the territory of Gilead. Sihon also controlled the Jordan Valley and regions to the east, from as far north as the Sea of Galilee to as far south as the Dead Sea, including the road to Beth Jeshemoth and southward to the slopes of Pisgah. King Og of Heshbon of Bashan, the last of the Rephaites, lived at Ashtaroth and Arai. He ruled a territory stretching from Mount Hermon to Selek in the north, and to all the Bashan in the east and western to the borders of the kingdoms of Geshur and Mayak. This territory included the northern half of Gilead as far as the boundary of King Sihon of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites had destroyed the people of King Sihon and King Og, and Moses gave their land as a possession to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. And so that's the end for today. Yeah, and also, I forgot to wish you guys, Palm Sunday. Yeah, I love Palm Sunday. I think it's a really cool day to celebrate Jesus coming into Jerusalem, not as a king of warrior, like not as a warrior, but as a peacemaker by riding on the donkey. And how like he allowed people to sing and claim that he is the Messiah, to kind of like wipe away anybody else who may doubt that Jesus is the Messiah. But yeah, to kind of like summarize up everything that we read today, it's just, I think we all know this by now, but like the power of God, no matter how many kingdoms combined, no matter how many kingdoms gets combined together, God is like, you guys are still a bunch of ants to me. You guys are still a bunch of tiny people that I could just destroy with a single word. And just like with that, it's like, sometimes it's hard for us to, in our modern time, to kind of see that and how to apply that to our own life. It's like, wow, God is able to accomplish and able to kind of like destroy all of these armies, but it's like, how's that relevant to me? How's that relevant to our modern time? So with that, I just wanted to kind of share the story. Is like, I mean, not like a story as much as like a testimony, how like it does not take a great battle for us to see the greatness of God. And so for the past year and a half, I've really been struggling mentally, and as I was sharing it with people, it's like I've really struggled with mental health for a long time. I've struggled with suicidal thoughts, and it was like, it couldn't get any dark for me. My parents are trying to get me to go to therapy, and I understand where they're coming from. They was like, oh, God could use other people. God can use other people to help me through these situations, through these hard times. And I totally agree with them. God can use anybody in our life, even those that we dislike the most, even those the ones that we disregarded the most. And that God is still able to use these people to help us in our hard situations. But for me, it was just like, it never worked for me. But maybe that's because I never given people the chances to help me. But yeah, it was like so dark. It was like unbelievable. It's like there were several times where I just wanted to die and things, because like it was not worth living a high school life where nobody seems to have any sorts of regard for each other. Nobody seems to have any of that sorts of respect for one another. But yeah, the turning point was, I realized like, okay, people can't help me. I can't keep looking for things that's not gonna help me. I can't keep myself distracted from my current situation, because it's not gonna like go away. And so I realized how much I needed God. It was just amazing, because like I really took the initiative steps saying, God, I'm going to try my best to read the Bible every day. And I know that like I just said that prayer before and it didn't work, and I just really prayed that, and I didn't expect it to be any better than the last time. But it was just like, ever since reading that Genesis chapter 1, it really like brought a lot of healing with God, as like creating like everything He created, and how like it's good and beautifully made. And for me, it was just like, wow, that's amazing. And then having to apply that to my own life, I realized that those are the same exact words that God has spoken over my life ever since I was born until now and stuff, and it will be for a long time, hopefully. But yeah, it was just like I said, this is and like I'm not saying like right now I'm not struggling, because I still am struggling, especially this being my last year of high school. It's harder. Sometimes it feels so hard emotionally. It was like I don't really know how to tell people, but it's like I can't physically cry. Like I try to, guys, but like I'm not like saying this as a way to like show my toxic masculinity, but it's just like I don't know how to cry. Like I don't have tears that just comes out of me, and I don't know how to unlock that. But it was like it's like your like heart is like it's like my heart is like crying. It's like so much. It's like constantly, and I just realized like, and then just feeling like the God's presence and His love of embrace over me. I just realized like, yes, God may not have helped me like fighting this massive war against thousands of soldiers, but He did help me fight this big moment in my life where I felt like my life is falling apart and things. And so yeah, all that is to say like, God has been fighting for us for our entire life, and we may not notice that. And so if I want to get anything out of today, I just want to kind of help us reflect on what has God been fighting for, like maybe not fighting for, but like how has God been fighting for us in our lifetime. And so with me, it's like with sharing that testimony of this past year and a half, where it's like committing suicide is like for a long time really felt like really the solutions to all my problems. And God just like, after starting to read the Bible, I just realized like God says like, no, it's not your time to go yet. You will be in heaven one day, but you're not ready to. You're not done yet. And so with that, it was like with God saying that and then wrapping His arm around me just really helped me to see a life in a new perspective. I'm a lot more calm. Obviously, there are still moments like I said, emotionally, it's still sometimes I struggle with like containing it, because like I'm able to contain it physically by not crying. But I mean, sometimes I may have outbursts of anger, but like most I'm able to keep it in. But in doing so, it's like my heart seems like in a sense has its own tears. And it was like that own tears like just flows through me every day and stuff, and it feels a little bit exhausting, but like I trust like God is able to work through my life. God is able to help me through my life. It's like He already has done that multiple times, and I could share like so many more than just that this past year and a half about how He has helped me. But yeah, it's like give God a chance. Give yourself a chance to give yourself a chance to carve out some time during your day to talk to God, and you will not believe what in the world. You will not believe what God does in your life. God is just asking you for that time, this little of a time, and God can work with this little amount of time. Obviously, He does not want our relationships to be this little. He wants our relationship to be huge. But to be able to know God, sometimes I feel like God has to tell us to give. We have to let ourselves say like, okay, David, I'm going to give God this much of attention in my life. This much of attention in my life. And you see that crack? You see that space between the two timelines? Between that represents time. God could use that, expand it to from east to west, for there is no ending. That is how powerful a little time could do for you, for your relationship with God. Because for me, I was just like, I'm just grinding through these texts and stuff. I don't want to read it. But as I'm starting to read it, and learning to how to apply to my own life, I'm starting to be able to open up myself more to God. And so I feel like I'm over here. Obviously, I want to keep growing, but like that's the thing about faith is like all of us are trying to grow. Faith is a life journey, not a race. But yeah, it's like, so yeah, that aspects of like, how can you see God fighting for you in your life right now? For if God is on your side, anything is possible. There's nothing in this universe that can stop him from accomplishing his goals. No matter how much other people are trying to group up to fight against us, God is like saying, these are little people with foolish hearts who do not understand. And it's like saying like, David, just trust me, and everything will work out and stuff. But yeah, other than that, I don't have anything else to share and stuff. So yeah, may you guys go and walk with God.